Dr. Goodman serves as a senior fellow at the Shalom Hartman Institute in Jerusalem, teaches in the Tikva project in Princeton University, and is a recipient of numerous awards for his publication. Dr. Micah Goodman, בבקשה.
תודה רבה. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. It's very interesting to be here. Einat, your ideas were so interesting. I have no smart ideas to say after that.
I'm sure you do.
I just want to share one thought. I have no practical ideas. I have no idea how to do this stuff. But I remember growing up, it was very clear to me that the Jews are a global nation. We're all over the place. Wherever you go, you find Jews. And only in the past few years, it struck me that that image that I had, that many of us have, is a wrong image. We're not a global people anymore. 81% of Jews around the world, as you all know, are located either in North America or in Israel, meaning a better way to imagine Jewish demography and Jewish geography is that we're not a global people, we're a people that has two centers. There's a strong, vibrant center in North America. There's a strong, vibrant center in Israel. There are Jews in other places in the world. But in some way, they're in the periphery of these two great centers, the Bavel and Yerushalayim of our times, the one in North America and the one in Israel. And the future of Jewish people and Jewish people depends on the future on these two centers, and especially the relationship between the two. Now, it's my opinion that very exciting things are happening today in North America, and very exciting things are happening today in Israel, identity-wise. I want to think about this out loud. About 16 years ago, an Israeli public intellectual, an author called Aleph Bet Yoshua, writes a piece where he offers the following metaphor to understand what Judaism is and who Jews are. And he says like this, Hayadut, writes Aleph Bet Yoshua, ze androgynous. It's a powerful metaphor. Androgynous means that, well, you know, when a baby is born, and the parents ask, what is it, a boy or a girl? Well, if it's androgynous, what does it mean? That it's both. What do you do when it's both? It happens once every 1,000 babies. A friend of mine is a gynecologist. She told me, it happens once every it's both. And what I understand, what they do today in hospitals, and there's a special operation that they perform in order to define what that baby is. Is it a boy or a girl? It's a very tough procedure to figure out what they want it to be, and then they can make it be a boy or a girl. They make it normal again. Aleph Bet Yoshua is a very powerful metaphor. This is how it goes. Hayahaduti androgynous. We are all both. We're both because Judaism is both a religion and at the same time, it's a nation. Usually, they don't come together. I could be Protestant by nation, by religion, and Canadian by nation, or Argentinian by nation. I could be Canadian by nation and Protestant by religion, or Catholic by religion, or Hindu by religion, or Shinto by religion. But here's the thing about Judaism, that Aleph Bet Yoshua was right. It's a different kind of a thing. It's 100% of religion. It shares every characteristics of religion, shared faith, rituals, the whole thing. Some people believe on one of them, not only that it owns every characteristic of religion, it's the paradigm for every religion. But at the same time, it owns every characteristics of nation, like shared destiny, history, language, culture. Some people say, I also think so, that not only that it has every characteristics of religion, of nation, it is the paradigm for every nation. It's 100% Am Yisrael. It's also a dat. It's also a religio. And once you're both, it's hard to understand who you are. In the past 150 years, there were attempts to promote a violent operation on our collective identity. an exciting operation on our collective identity. It is that operation I spoke about before that tries to define what this baby is. The Jew is not kind of old to be called a baby. But to define what this is, to normalize it, to erase one of the sides of the duality of Judaism. One attempt was started in Europe and shifted to North America. It was an attempt to normalize Judaism by erasing every aspect of nationalism and reducing it to being a religion and a religion only. There were many attempts and many schools that tried to achieve that, but one of the most successful ones was of the Reform movement in its early days. The Reform movement in 1885, in their founding document in 1885, the idea of a reform movement was an attempt to reform Judaism from being a nation to being a religion, a great religion, an ethical religion that promotes ethical monotheism, but it shakes off all national aspects like the Hebrew language and like a yearning for a Jewish state and sovereignty. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not the condition of the Reform movement anymore. The Reform movement reformed itself many times ever since. It's a large, important part of the Zionist movement, but that was an impulse, an important impulse. That even though the Reform movement reformed itself and backed off from that impulse is still alive among American Jews. But here's the thing. At the same time about Zionism takes root, and secular Zionism, in its deepest sense, it's not only a political project. It's not only an attempt to create a state that never existed before. Zionism was always about more than that. According to the founding fathers of Zionism, at least some of them, I think the best way to read them, like Brenner, Berdichevsky, Jabotinsky, Chernyakhovsky, all these skis. And also, this is a reform movement. Also, secular Zionism is an attempt to reform Judaism. But it's the opposite reform movement. It's the opposite operation. It's the opposite attempt to normalize Judaism. This time, not erasing the national aspects and turning it into a religion, but exactly the opposite. An attempt to shake off all religious aspects of Judaism and turn it into a vibrant nation. Two reform movements were born in the turn of the 19th century. And two, well, there was a survey done in the 90s that I read about among students in North America. And students in North America were asked to locate Judaism in the right category. And here's the thing. Most of them said you could be Protestant, Catholic, Muslim, Shinto, and you could be Jewish. That's the category. Protestant, Catholic, Jewish. That's the category. The parallel students in Israel, the same age, they were also asked to locate Judaism in the right category. And here's the thing. They said you could be Flemish, English, British, Italian, and you can be Jewish. That's the category Israelis fit Judaism in. You see what I mean? For North Americans, Judaism is a type of a religion. For Israelis, it's a type of a nation. What I'm saying is that the gap between the two Jewish centers is much more than two centers of Jews in a deep sense. It's two centers of different Judaisms. We're growing two different Judaisms. We've been doing that for a long time. This has a lot of meaning and many repercussions. I don't want to deal with every one of them now. I just want to think about one moment, that two moments in the history of the relationship, not only between these two Jewish worlds, but between these two Judaisms that are developed. They're developing. One of the most important thinkers of the 20th century, Mordechai Kaplan, tried to challenge this operation. It did. trying to argue that Judaism is not a religion. Judaism is more than a religion. Judaism is a civilization. And as a civilization, it's a nation, it's a culture, it's also a religion. It's one of the aspects of Judaism, and we shouldn't reduce it to be only that. There was buts. And here I want to join you in that, but from a different angle. That for Jews around the world, one of the most important guarantees of their identity, making sure that it's a large identity, rich identity, larger than being just a religion, is their relationship with Israel. Because when you're an American or Canadian or British Jew, and you identify with Israel, and Israel is a part of your identity, by doing that, not only Israel changes and is more empowered, also you change. Because by doing that, a strong piece of your identity is not your religion, but a religion is mostly about believing. Nation is mostly about belonging. When you cultivate a sense of belonging to a group that's larger than you, Judaism is more than a religion at that moment. Judaism is greater than religion. Judaism is also a nation. And there were great moments in the history of American Jews and Jews around the world in Israel. The greatest moment was the Six-Day War, where as a result of the Six-Day War, as Jonathan Sarna writes, Israel became the religion of American Jews. In the following sense, the best way to understand the relationship between Jewish world and Israel in the post-Six-Day War, a best way to understand it is how fans of a team in soccer or basketball, when they're real fans, how do they treat their team? They don't see their team as something that's different than them. It's part of who they are. It becomes a part of who you are in a deep sense. For some years, Israel was a part of the identity of Jews around the world. It was part of who they are. And as long as Israel is a part of the identity package, that identity is richer and larger and not reduced just to being a religion, which takes me to the crisis of our generation. I think Peter Beinart was right. Not in his book, in his article he wrote 4 years ago. He was right not in the way he judges the fact, but the way he presented them. Many liberal Jews that fit the following category: young and not Orthodox. I don't think they despise Israel or hate Israel, but they're more and more indifferent to Israel. And here's the result. When Israel is a part of the identity package of diaspora Jews, that identity shrinks and it becomes a religion only. In Israel, and as an Israeli, and I'm really an Israeli, don't let my accent confuse. In Israel, I like seeing the support of Jews in the diaspora. It's important for the strength of Israel, but it's also the other way around. The support for Israel, having Israel part of your identity, is what guarantees that that identity will be large, big, rich, and interesting. Taking Israel out of that identity shrinks that identity and turns Judaism into being a religion and a religion only. American Jews are shrinking. They're shrinking in numbers because of assimilation. But worse, not only that we're losing Jews, Judaism is shrinking because it's turning into a religion and a religion only. The Six-Day War was a great time. The decade after the Six-Day War, fighting for Soviet Jews kept Judaism as a civilization alive. The sense of belonging was alive. But Israel is not that impressive. We're not defeating Egyptian army in 4 hours anymore. In the Egyptian Air Force in 4 hours anymore. We might have to do that, but these are new problems. But here's the thing, and I just lost any sense of time, so just tell me if I have to finish. I have 5 more minutes. 4.5, okay? But here's the thing. Israel is so interesting today. And not, I think you hinted that something interesting is happening in Israel today. I want to think about that. It's true that there was an operation on our national collective identity trying to reduce it to being national and national only. You express yourself not through faith, ritual, Judaism as a religion, but through living here and speaking Hebrew and working the ground and going to the army. Your channel of expression in Judaism was nationalistic and nationalistic only, but something is happening in Israel today. Something interesting and exciting is happening in Israel today. Young Israeli, secular Israelis are expanding their Jewish identity all over the place. There's new Israeli music, as many of you know. Names like Ehud Banai and Evyatar Banai and Beri Sakharov and Eti Ankari and Kobi Oz. All these names I just mentioned that probably are on your iPhones. Nachon? These aren't avant-garde, weird artists challenging the mainstream. They are the mainstream. This is mainstream Israeli music, and every one of them is today producing Jewish music. Beri Sakharov is doing Ibn Gabirol, a middle-aged poet, singing about Israel and God and Torah. Ehud Banai sings El Adon al Kol HaMaasim. Everybody does Tehillim today. Why are they doing this? I think they're doing this for two reasons. One, artists are always the first ones to notice a new zeitgeist, a new spirit of a generation, a new spirit of a time. They noticed it, and mainly they're doing it because they're reacting to the free market. They want people, young people, to come to their concerts, and they're the first ones to react to the free market that never lies. People are hungry for Judaism in Israel. But these people are hungry for Judaism in Israel and are watching new TV shows and new movies. It's probably not news to any one of you that the Israeli movie that was nominated for an Oscar dealt with Talmudic scholars. And there's new books coming out. They're swallowed like my book. That are swallowed by thousands of young Israelis, majority of them not necessarily religious. So with new books and new movies and new music, you can realize that there's something is shifting in Israel, and here's what's happening. It's not like in the 70s when secular Israelis became religious. It's not Chazara B'Tshuva. It's not about Chilunim becoming Datiim. It's about Israelis becoming Jewish. It's about Judaism as a religion is not something that they reject in order to define themselves as secular Israelis, but it's something that enriches them and deepens them as secular Israelis. It's not threatening to their secular identity. It's enriching, it's deepening their secular identity, making it more interesting and more rich. Meaning in Israel, we're in the middle of a paradigm shift that might lead to an expansion of Judaism as an identity in Israel, meaning it's being more than just a nation, not a religion, not only a religion, but more than a nation. It's also a culture, there's religious aspects to it, and all that together is being absorbed now in the hearts and minds of very serious young Israelis all over. I guess what I'm saying is that I'm very optimistic about a cultural and Jewish renaissance in Israel as we're talking. Judaism as an identity is expanding in Israel. It might be shrinking in North America. But one of the reasons that it might be shrinking, as Peter Beinart analyzed it, I think, and a good friend of mine, Shmuel Rosner, wrote about this also. One of the reasons they feel like Israel, and especially Israelism, is something they can't relate to. But it's my belief that the more they'll be exposed to the expansion of Jewish identity in Israel and how exciting Jewish Israeli culture is becoming, maybe Israel could be more exciting again. And when Israel be more exciting again, American identity will expand again. Meaning I think, and I'll conclude here, many times in history we feel like we're facing a crisis. And that's terrifying. And there are some times when we feel like we're facing an opportunity. But that's also terrifying. And it's not less terrifying. We'll take 25 seconds to say this, or maybe 26. It's not less terrifying because when you stand in front of a crisis, if you don't change what you're doing, the crisis will hit you. But here's the thing. If you stand in front of an opportunity, you don't change what you do and how you behave, you're going to miss the opportunity. That's also terrifying. I think we're in front of a very big opportunity in Israel today. And I think the language of opportunity is also what makes Judaism exciting for young Israelis all over the place today. Toda Rabah.